The idea that Paul or whoever wrote Hebrews had a greater revelation than Jesus is complete nonsense. Paul was the bondslave of Jesus, Yeshua. Not only that, this is one of the foundational things that Jesus laid out in Matthew 5 and then repeated again in Luke 16. And he said plainly that he didn't come to abolish the Torah of the prophets, but to fulfill. So first let's think about what he did with regard to the Torah and the prophets. He took the ethical requirements of the law to a higher standard. He didn't abolish them. For example, adultery, he now said, thinking the thought in your heart is a form of adultery. Hatred is a form of murder. So he took the ethical, moral requirements to a deeper level. Everything that had to do with our approach to God, things like temple, sacrifice, priesthood, blood, he brings to fullness in his own life and death and resurrection. The full meaning of the sacrifices, that to which they're pointing. And then the feasts and the holy days find their prophetic meaning in his death, resurrection, outpouring of the Spirit, and eventually in his return. So we see that all of what came before was pointing towards him, finding its full meaning in him. Even the concept of Sabbath, when he says in Matthew 11:28, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest," is in the context of the way of religious tradition, which we see in the next chapter, versus finding true Sabbath rest in him. So he's saying everything is pointing towards him. The emphasis in Hebrews is that now that the new has come, there's a new covenant that's been made, and that's explicit in Jeremiah 31, verses 31 to 34, that the Sinai covenant would come to an end, and that God would make a new and better covenant and take the truths of Torah, take Torah and write it in the hearts of his people, and there'd be a supernatural empowerment to keep these things. And we experience the realities of the new covenant already, but in fullness at the end of this age. So how do you put the two things together? The regulations of the covenant, the blood sacrifices, we haven't had them anymore. Hebrews might well have been written right before the temple was destroyed, and he's saying this is about to fade away. The earthly priesthood functioning in an earthly temple, we haven't had. If you will take the bulk of the legal material of the Torah and compile it, you'll see about 75% of the commandments that are for all time, for all generations, forever, we cannot keep without a functioning temple, priesthood, and Jewish self-governance in the land. So when we look at this material and realize all these things that were forever, the blood sacrifices, a lot of the priestly rituals, we can't keep anymore, we can't do. What's happened? Something new and better, that to which it was pointing, has come. So if it was abolished, done away with, then let's throw out the biblical calendar, let's throw out the importance of blood sacrifice, let's throw out the morality of the Torah, and let's do whatever in the world we want and divorce ourselves from this. No, the opposite has happened. Everything to which it was pointing has now come in its fullness. It has been filled up to the full. So the old regulations and rituals that were part of the previous covenant are no longer applicable because the full meaning of the covenant has come to pass. And it's only when you understand that God didn't abolish it or destroy it. It's like going from a typewriter to a computer. That to which it was pointing has now come, so you don't need the typewriter because you have the computer, but it's based on that model that the fullness has come.
The Hebraic Roots Conference will be held this fall, October 13th through the 15th. This conference is free, but space is limited, so please register your attendance online at HebraicRootsConference.com. Or you can call 952-657-7879.